Well, what's the crack, everybody? Welcome to another Buckshot. For Friday the 3rd of June, or if you're a Patreon, you got this last night, along with the video of today's podcast. Today, whatever day you listen to it. It came out on Thursday the 2nd for the Patreons, ad-free. Pre tonight, or if you came to the gigs over the weekend in Clogheen, fair play to you. Thanks a million. There'll be more Clattered shows are coming back online. I'm going to do a kind of a little hall theatre thing in the Pipeworks rather than the usual places. I might just do it in a field, on the side of a trailer. Why not? And thank you very much to everybody who was complimentary. And I ran into after the Marquee show last weekend with the two boys, the two Johnnies. Some people very, very nice. I looked like an absolute turn-up in most of your photographs that you sent me and tagged me in. So thank you very much for that. But sure, look, it didn't the beauty competition. Anyway, if you do want to become a Patreon, you know what to do. Go to the show notes down the bottom, click on through and become a Patreon. You get this ad-free early and you get the Ramble Pod, which is exclusive to Patreons throughout the week. It's every single Wednesday. And we do live shows as well. Live shows, we got another one coming up in a fortnight's time where basically Patreons just come on, have the crack. You know what I mean? And it's as little as $3 hairs a month. Some people give more because they just get more out of it or whatever, but you know what I mean? Fair play. If you want to jump on that, please do. Have a gander. The website is being updated bit by bit. It's there. I mean, there is a website, a whole lot, and you can get tickets. I'll be putting up more tickets for club gigs I'll be doing. Like I'm in the Roisin Dove, I'm in the Laughter Lounge, and a couple more places throughout June. I'll throw them up there if you want to have an old gander. It's all in a one big long link where it's all out in front of you. Now, moving on swiftly to today's guest. I am very, very excited because the reaction to when she was on first was I'll tell you, I'm recording this intro to tell you the God's honest truth. Normally I have the yoke done and then I just do an intro or whatever. We haven't chatted yet and we're chatting in about half an hour's time, so I said I'd get and I cannot wait. The reaction to her episode, go back to it, I think it's in the 180s. I think go back and find it. It was astounding. The reaction I got, the messages from people, they absolutely loved her, and it was just one of those holy Jesus, brilliant interviews. And I've no doubt, because I've already chatted with her today and she's already got a story for me, so we'll open up with that. I'm very, very excited, so sit back and enjoy the brilliant Aideen McQueen. It has to be, and I have to. I'll have done an intro, but this is an intro to after the intro, because right now it's one of the most. It's definitely the most written reaction. Your episode 186 was your episode. It's the most written. I'll get emojis or something like I crashed my truck into the ditch because of Mickey Bartlett, but your one people physically wrote I stopped every fucking thing I was doing in the moment. There was a certain moment around the middle of our episode.
Oh my God, this is just music to my ears, darling.
Yeah, I know your ego. But it's the truth. I wouldn't be pumping your tires otherwise. This is the truth. This is, and people fucking loved it. So I didn't tell too many people that we were going to do this again because I wanted to be a surprise to people tomorrow. But I said, there's no way. Even as I said to you just beforehand, there's no way. Talking to my wife, I said, there's no way. There's nothing dramatic. She's clean living Aideen now. She has nothing dramatic to tell us about. But as I look at you here, Aideen McQueen, tell us why you're...
Well, go on, yes.
Tell us why you're a little lopsided in the video, as people will see. Well, the patrons will see, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yeah, not at all. I can't help it. So basically, normally I'm very glamorous. Well, I think I am.
No, you are.
But I'm wearing a cardigan now because I have my arm in a sling. And so yesterday, because I'm so clean living now, I'm such a good girl, I went for a jog. Now, I wanted to do a mini marathon on Sunday, but sure, the last marathon I did was a Netflix marathon, and I decided to go running. And I don't even have runners, I mean, I wasn't exactly wearing high heels, but I was wearing kind of little slip-on shoes. So I decided to go for a run around this little park near where I stay in Dublin. And I was running along, and a stone caught my shitty little shoe. And I know there's probably a good way, like I'm not sporty, so like it's probably a good way of falling, but I just fell on my hand and my shoulder, and oh my god, my arm, it was like a rag doll. It was just flopping like this, like this, like this. It wasn't painful at the time because I was in such shock, and I mean I was there, and I was on my own. And this very posh man, you know, from the south side, was like, would you like some assistance? And I was like, definitely, no stranger danger there. I need some help. So he picked me up, and he thought I might have needed an ambulance. But my sister's a doctor. I don't know if I mentioned that to you by now.
Trust me, my sister's a doctor too. I drop it in everywhere I can.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Vicariously, I live through their my siblings' intelligence.
Yeah, that's it. And if you go to hospital or a doctor and you just slip it in, oh, my sister's a GP, they start treating you really well.
Unbelievable.
Everybody needs to do this. And I mean, they kind of buck up their ideas. Because they're like, oh, what college did she go to? You know, because they all know each other, really.
Yeah.
So, well, my sister, she complains a lot about she's very bright, and she understands how the HSE is kind of, it wastes a lot of money.
Yes.
If you get an ambulance, it's like €6,000 it costs. So I was like, I can't tell her I got an ambulance. So I got the plant to the side of the road, and I was there with my little arm like a rag doll. And he waved down a taxi for me, and he was very nice. He paid for it because I mean I was jogging. I didn't have any money.
How did you have the presence of mind to give two shits about your sister's opinion on what government money was going to be wasted on? Because they're going to be scraping Anto off the road up the way anyway. Like so.
Poor old Anto. Yeah, he was in the taxi with me. So no, I have this thing where I'm very proud, and I don't, because my sister, she's absolutely amazing girl, Maeve. I don't know if you met her. She just sometimes does a bit of comedy.
Yes, I did. Funny. I did.
And but she worked as a doctor in Kenya for 6 months and in Malawi. So I mean, unless your head is falling off, she doesn't give a shit, you know.
She is ridiculous. When you went to Malawi with her own time, like how much do they love her at home? Like in all fairness,
I mean, she's just a superstar.
Yeah.
And then she went and she was the doctor in the Ballyhale where we're from.
Yeah.
And they absolutely loved her. And Maeve is very kind of clean living and good. But I noticed that she had a Paddy Power account on her phone. So all these old fellas that were coming in, she said some of these lads would have string tied around their trousers, and they'd be giving her tips for the races. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So I get into the hospital, and in fairness, if you're sick, go to the south side, babe, because I've been in Beaumont before, and you'd be waiting 8 hours.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%.
It just tip from the top, go to the posh hospital, and I get in anyway, and my arm is flopping around, and they put me into a room, and straight away they gave me a little cup with 2 tablets in it, and I think it was morphine.
Lovely.
And when I at AA meetings, there was this man who used to always say, the first time I drank, it was like being kissed by God. So, taking morphine is like getting a blowjob from God. Oh my God.
You got a blowy from God in what, Vincent? So where did you go?
Or being licked out by God. It doesn't sound like good.
No, I want you to get a metaphorical blowy from whatever God you pray to.
I pray to yoga gods, you know.
Oh, like Vishnu with fucking 8 hands.
So,
nice.
Yeah, that's
nice.
Those kind of guys. Yeah.
Dirty.
But then, so I go in anyway, and they examined me, they x-ray me, everything like this. I was just out of it. I don't know how I was standing up like delighted, having the time of my life still on this morphine. And then so yeah, I dislocated my shoulder and I've broken my elbow.
Oh Christ.
Yeah. So they put a cast on, and they said basically she was a lovely nurse now. She was a real country girl. I said to her, how can I shower? Because I have to go back in 2 weeks. And she said, should I do it the old-fashioned way we used to do it, just a little body wash.
Watch yourself down like a pony.
Well, we used to do that when we were like that when we were growing up in the 80s and the 90s. Like we used to just have a face cloth, and you'd wash yourself with a face cloth every morning before school, and then on Saturday night before mass,
yes,
you get a bath.
And
we all shared this, the three of us. So I was born in 83, May was born in 84, and Eve was born in 85. And then, of course, contraception was totally legalized, so no more babies for the Darmstons. And it used to be a race to get to be the first one in the bath, and nobody wanted to get the bath water after Daddy, you know, because he'd be working out in the field and everything, so you'd be really dirty.
Nobody wants that. No.
Yeah, no. And I mean, can you imagine that? Now everybody showers and stuff, but that was the way, you know.
Does anybody bath anymore? Like, I still hear on British programs, because I like watching. We watch British house building programs and whatnot, and they'll often talk about, well, you know, like we watched wedding programs for a brief period prior to the wedding, so you can guess what's coming up next. Like,
but you'll be watching retirement programs.
A Place in the Sun.
Tommy's too young for that.
No. I don't know. To be fair, we mostly watch it purely because of the presenter, Kevin McLeod. He's your man from
he's brilliant.
He's so ridiculously over dramatic with his facial expressions. I don't give a shit what they're building. This guy's such a
I should practice actually for staged. I should watch him, because so anyway, going back to baths. Yeah,
they all seem to bath and talk about baths. Like they're religious and on Saturday night. And we were watching Sarah Beanie another time, and they were building a house, but they had on the property, the 200-acre farm that they bought, they had a perfectly fine house, but they were building this manor. But they were like, on Saturdays they've like 4 boys and their parents, and we're like, we all share the bath. It's like, oh fuck, you're multi-millionaires. You know what I mean? You've got a monster contract with Channel 4. Are you really trying to come? Who's buying this? This
is a load of shite. Yeah.
You know.
Well, when the three of us were young, we used to share the bath.
Yeah.
And my mother would wash my hair, and then she to save money. I mean, it's incredible when you think about it now. She used to put the shampoo in my hair, rub it up, and then she'd pass on the shampoo to the next girl and the next girl.
So the lather, she'd get the lather going in your head.
Yeah. And sometimes she'd forget to buy the shampoo, because in fairness to her, she always worked. So she wasn't the most organized woman sometimes. So sometimes we'd have to get the fairy liquid. Well, not fairy liquid, your own the
Quicks.
Dunstone version.
It was Quicks from Centra. That's what it was. It was Quicks.
Yeah, that's it, Quicks. Yeah. And then there was a different one in I can't remember the Quinsworth. They had
Quinsworth. Jesus.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
Did you have the L&N? We had the shopping.
We had L&N, and there's only a bloke. It had wiped from my memory, and a bloke I ran into the other day. Since we've moved back down home, these blasts from the past, just from quotes lads are thrown at me. Somebody went, I must head into his single farmer. Like every bloke around here is a single farmer. Honestly,
you have his number.
I don't know if there's actually a number to be had, but which means
I'll write a letter to him.
There's a ridiculous amount of blokes around here, but he said the L&N the other. I must head in and get my shopping in the L&N.
Yeah,
and it's been 3 things since then, and it's a super value now or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been the L&N. I worked. I mean, even when I worked in Super Value, it was Super Value, but everyone called it the L&N.
Yeah,
and you still have even guys that are 10 years younger than me going into the L&N. I'm like, what did the L&N even stand for? You know?
Somebody told me once, and I went out of my. But there was also in Care, our local town. There was I don't know what it was. But it was years ago, like the 70s. It was called the VG, the Very Good. Yeah, I swear to God. And up until God rest my grandparents, up until like last year, when that's still what they called it, popping down to the VG, and would not break for anybody. It was still the VG.
But I do things like that sometimes now. I mean, I find it. I really have to try. I say pounds still, even though I mean euros, and I have to kind of correct myself. And
to be fair to you, you spend a lot of time in the UK.
I spend
you know what I mean, like
yeah. And I wouldn't even say pounds. I say £2. You know,
pound.
Yeah. You don't have to pluralize pound.
You don't. You don't. But at the same time, you're kind of posh. And that absolutely is not you. That's not you at all. Like people like me, commoners would say a pound.
But I'm my mother was posh, and she went to boarding school for 2 years, and she lived in France for a while. So she's a French teacher, and the French teachers were always one with a bit of attitude.
Yeah, they were always the ones that you fancied. Oh,
yeah, and they, she's worked. Yeah, oh God, they used to be writing Valentine's cards to her and everything. Oh, she got in trouble once. I'll tell you this story.
Oh, okay. Now I need to preface this before we go any further that Aideen is actually on painkillers right now. I thought you'd been to a festival, but that's still your hospital tag on your wrist right now.
Yeah, I can't say that.
Of course you can, because your other hand is.
Okay, I'll slow down a bit. Sorry.
No, not that at all. Just in case you say anything defamatory about your mother right now.
No.
Just in case.
No, I'll keep it anonymous. She's told me the story. So she was the first French teacher in St. Kieran's, the big
hurling school, yeah.
The home of hurling, as they like to call themselves. And St. Kieran's is basically just made out of teenage boy sweat and bottles of Lynx Africa.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to get rid of Latin, and she got the job as French teacher, and she moved from Nina to Kilkenny.
Oh yeah.
And
cross-border stuff, Jesus.
So the first night she went out, she wouldn't mind me telling the story at all. The first night she went out in the town a few days. She'd moved a week before school started, and she met this very handsome, tall, Italian-looking guy. Because there's some families, in every small town, there's like a few Italian families.
There's always, or there's a few swarthy looking people. Like if you go to West Cork or South Kerry, you'll find swarthy looking blokes, and you're like, somebody pulled up in a ship here a couple of generations back. I would wager that curly black hair and that sharp nose don't really fit in with the Celtic look. What's that about?
Yeah, the old Spanish Armada got in there, and they got in there fast.
Yeah, they did.
So she goes to what she describes as a disco, and this guy asked her to dance. So she had a few dances with him, and I don't know what's that a euphemism for. And then she had a few more dances with him. I can't remember his name. Let's call him Vinny. Right. And then Monday morning she goes in to teach Leaving Cert French. And who's there sitting on the chair? She said he had his legs up like this, his hand behind his head, and he said, how you getting on, Mary? And she's like, oh my God, that's the guy I was dancing with.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank God it isn't a modern time that that she would have,
she wouldn't have done anything like much, but he didn't do a tap for her, and she lost control of the class. So the priest, Father Flavin, had to come in and have a chat with them all to just relax,
Oh my God.
And then she had the parent-teacher meeting, and Vinny wasn't doing any work at all. He was still kind of winking at her and calling her Mary and the likes of that. And his father came in, the owner of the chip shop, and he was just like, parliamo italiano, non comprendo. And, you know, and Vinny was translating and stuff. And she thought, oh God, he hasn't got any English. And sure, then a few nights later, she went to that chip shop and he had perfect English.
Of course, he had the bastard.
But so I'll get back to I'll get back to the accident. So I go to the hospital.
Yeah.
They put the cast on me, and then the girl tells me I can't wash for 2 weeks. Now, thankfully, my sister came over and she washed my hair, and she put on a bit. Well, I put on a bit of lipstick, you know, of course.
It's a podcast, of course, yeah.
So the patrons, you need it, guys.
Yeah, of course, yes.
But in so the next day, then, because I went home and there was nobody there, and I wanted to go for some milk. Now the cast, you can't put on a bra or anything like that.
Oh,
so I was still a bit out of it, and I just put on this cardigan. And everybody was staring at me, and I thought, oh, I've still got it, you know. I still got it. I didn't realize my boob was hanging out.
That would be me. That would be me every second day if I was a woman. I'd have a tit hanging out somewhere.
I went to the Tesco and bought milk, and nobody told me. And then one really nice old dog just came up. She's like, love, come over here. I think your tit is hanging out, you know. She wrapped me up. But I thought, my God, you know, like, I thought I'm turning into Marilyn Monroe. What's happening now? But yeah, so it was just absolutely ridiculous. But so it's fine now. I'm feeling a bit better. But it'll take a while to heal. I was meant to go to England yesterday, and I couldn't. So, and sometimes it's very sore. I couldn't sleep as well all night.
Oh Jesus! Are you in pain right now as you're speaking? Like, can you?
A little bit of pain, yeah. But you're cheering me up.
Good.
Laughter
Good.
is the best medicine.
Well,
morphine is the best medicine, but then laughter is the second best medicine.
Yeah. And there's probably a bunch of stuff in between. But Jesus, did you because you left me, because this is so funny. I was messaging and the messages got like shorter and shorter, and they turned into voice notes. I was like, is she on the run or something? What's happening here? And then you quickly explained, Tom, I'm after fucking up my elbow and my shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, I just can't. I'm not able to text, so I have to send everyone voice messages. And if I text, it's like my dad trying to text, you know.
But you'd said even from the last one that you'd managed to wrangle, because we talked hardly about how you have to sculpt this into either break it up into loads of bits or create a story out of your last story. Is that what panned out? What was the spin-off?
Yeah.
Did you meet anybody? Because I know there was 2 or 3 people that wanted to meet you and actually tell you that they listened to your story on that episode.
Yeah, a good few people did actually. When I did the Galway festival, I can't remember her name. She's a lovely girl, and she goes to almost every gig.
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie. Oh,
yes.
Anne-Marie was all over it. Yeah, and we became friends then. We had a good chat about it. So yeah, Anne-Marie is just an amazing girl. She's, you know, you could be at a gig with loads of famous comedians, but I prefer to hang out with her.
Yeah. But tell us this: were you able to sculpt something out of it? Because it's too good of a story.
Yes.
For anybody who's just jumped into this one, go back now, pause, go back, listen to 186, and then come back to where you're at right now. Because trust me, this context won't make sense. But tell us.
Yeah, so I've made it into my Edinburgh show. So I'm doing it for the whole month, and I've done a few previews, and I'm doing a preview with Sean Walsh soon, which will be great because he's got a big draw.
Yeah.
And so no, I'm really happy with it. It's going very well. I did Leicester Festival, and a lot of women really liked it, you know. So I have molded it into an hour. I'm still working on it a bit.
Oh yeah. See, this is the thing. It's going to be such. What I love about the idea of that story is that it's so personal to you, in that it isn't one where we all pander with our jokes to a degree where you're going, will they, you know, what will they find funny, in a sense, with the I suppose the premise of what I'm talking about here. But the reality is this is your straight up story, and it's that good of a story. There's nobody could turn around and go, God, I was bored of that. You can't. It's a whopper of a story. Like,
it's not a bad story at all. Yeah, it's pretty good. And I have a little addition to it now.
Have you?
So recently, I've started working for a green hydrogen company.
Okay.
I'm a lobbyist now.
So you're lobbying, okay.
So
Of course you are.
So one of the girls that was also one of the sugar babies. I mean, I was a bit old to be a sugar baby. I mean, I was 32. I was more like a sugar toddler.
There's no non-creepy way of saying it. Sure, there's not. Like,
no, there isn't. It is disgusting, isn't it?
When you...
So we became friends because she was a Polish girl, but she is still a Polish girl. And she was very dramatic. She's like, all I want to do is make money and really read books for the rest of my life. And she was very ambitious, very clever. So she started this company, and this green hydrogen company. And so she knew me. So she said, can you get some contacts in Ireland? So I thought, okay, who on earth am I going to get? So I emailed loads of politicians. Nothing back. Sure, who am I? I don't even have a LinkedIn, you know? And then, but the good thing about politicians is you can go to the clinic, you know? So I just popped into this politician's clinic. I just barged in and I spoke to him and he listened. And so they were like really impressed. And it's because Ireland is so small that, you know, like two of my second cousins were Fianna Fáil TDs. So if you mention that, you're straight in. Do you know what I mean?
What?
What do you mean, what?
So you just barged straight in. Now, did you get him on board? Like, what was your selling spiel to this Fianna Fáil TD?
So basically, it's in an area where they used to have a lot of turf, and now they're trying to they need to replace those jobs, and they've got
brilliant, right?
Yeah, EU money. So he is very interested in that, and I didn't have a clue what I was talking about. I mean.
That's what I mean. I mean, you were a teacher and a comedian, and you just went from selling a gas plant out of the UK to somebody in a turf field in Ireland. Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, I've pulled off some bluffing moves in my day.
And it's very, very good money. And it's actually quite fun, you know. I went to Strasbourg and everything to have a meeting with another ex-MEP. I don't know why. I suppose I should just keep this kind of confidential, but people will probably guess who some of these people are. And it's amazing. But you know what? Politicians are quite like comedians because they want to charm, they want to talk. So actually, it's this. You can use the same skills and get there. So meeting people and stuff, I do enjoy it. And it was hard work as well. I had to knock on a lot of doors and get a lot of people. And at the moment, I can't even write emails. So
shit, you can say. I love the idea of you sending morphine-filled voice notes to politicians.
Was it that bad?
No, it actually wasn't. But what was beautiful was you were so polite at the end. You were like, "Thank you."
I know.
At the end of all your messages, you were like, "Thank you, Tom. Thank you, and thank you again. Thank you."
I know. That's from my mother, and
I appreciate it.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't be posh at all, but he grew up on a very small farm. He was born in 1945, but he was very bright, and he got his county scholarship to Maynooth to become a priest.
Yes, yeah.
So he trained for 3 years in Maynooth, and they used to there's a kind of priest voice, that older priest voice. They used to put sticks into their mouths and train them to speak like priests, you know, and all of that. So it's very funny. So then, luckily enough, well, not luckily enough, but his father died.
Right.
Now, he my grandfather was born in 1898. So,
Yeah.
and he had his time. And and my uncle wanted to get married to this woman, but my grandmother didn't approve of her. So he
Classic.
left the farm, and he went working as a lorry driver for a year. So then my dad had to leave Maynooth to go back on the farm. But that was probably the best thing that ever happened to him, because he got a degree for free, and then he was able to go. So then in 1968, they brought in free education, free secondary school education. And he said that principals would just arrive at his door and say, "Can you teach in the school?"
What?
So, yeah. I mean, sure, there was no phones then, but they just needed so many extra, because suddenly now, people could go, everybody could go.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you had to pay to go to secondary school or get a scholarship, or you might go to the CBS. My dad cycled 14 miles to the CBS every day and 14 miles back in Waterford.
Did they lay every date on you throughout your childhood, and their entire history on you throughout your entire childhood, or did you have an unbelievable memory that you remember?
I have a very good memory with dates. I was very good at history at school. So yeah, they didn't know. They didn't. I'd be always listening to them. I'd always be listening to the adults, trying to find out the gossip. Anyway, he left, and he went to Kieran's, and he became a teacher, and eventually he became the principal. But it's very funny, because back in the home place, in Ballyhale, they all kind of talk like that.
They do actually. Yeah.
They're a bit harsh. There's a bit of that in Waterford too. It's like they're strict. Like they don't really use their diaphragm. They don't use this part of the throat. So my dad, when the phone rang when we were young, because my dad kind of felt guilty that we had a small farm, but he kind of felt guilty that he wasn't always out in Haggard working. He'd often be just sitting down reading a book. So when the phone rang, he always had a rule. It was kind of a joke, but he said, "Let it ring 5 times, and then when you answer it, be a little bit out of breath, as if you're just running out from the Haggard." And then he would say, if it was something to do with work or somebody posh, he'd be like, "Hello there, this is Micheál." And then if it was his brother or one of his mates, like, "Oh, how are you keeping?" Suddenly the voice changed. And it was like he was speaking a different language. And and so that's why sometimes I do say things like pound and the likes of that, even though, thank you for thinking I'm very posh.
Yeah, no, you do give off but a nice air, especially the fact that you said so many thank yous. But you're a juxtaposition, like you are a contradiction in terms, which is brilliant, because when you watch your stand-up, you're a blackguard and you're messing, because your charm can be read through the fucking carry on and the stuff you come out with, talk about being slutty and stuff like that. But clearly everybody, and I suppose that's the barrier you break as a comedian too, isn't it? You go, "Stop fucking believing me, will you? For the love of Jesus, this is all a joke, and we're having the crack." But you can see, at no point does anybody sit back and go, "Oh, clearly she's as trampy as she's saying she is right now," because you can see that you're having the time of your life up there, just joking. If anybody wants to go, you put up a couple of great bits, but there's one that I caught first, and it was a bit from a great comedy club in London, Backyard.
The Backyard. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you watched that.
Oh, it was a great clip.
One of my tablets. Just give us a little second now.
I love it. Your hands are shaking and everything. You are back off the wagon, girl. This is. I suggest you may want to turn down the speed on your Spotify if you are listening now to 0.5, because I can keep up, because that's my problem, is speaking too quickly. But I'm
okay, I'll speak a bit slower, darling. I'll try to relax. But yeah, it's tough enough going at the moment, but it's a bit fun as well. And so these things will calm me down now a bit, and I can't really eat. I'm just drinking lemonade and Coke, because I have no appetite. I don't know. Whenever I take medication and stuff like that, my appetite goes.
I'm the very same. And weight drops.
Is that normal?
I assume it is, like, and I look after 3 days if I have to be on any kind of the last time was I'd broken 2 ribs. And I went to Vincent's, and it was delightful. It was me and just a couple of rugby lads who'd hurt themselves during the day. Like, do you know what I mean? It was great. It was like 2 other people. It was like, hey, here's a game. You know, just don't be going to those rough places. Like, Jesus Christ, go to where people turn up after, you know, clipping the top off their finger with the garden shears. While, you know.
Yeah, my poor sister Aoife, a few years ago, she was playing camogie. But she was having a poke around with some lad, and she doesn't know if he did it deliberately or not.
We need to clarify that too for our UK listeners, because there's a lot of them. A poke around is still hurling. It is. She has a stick. It's like hockey up in the air on grass.
Yeah, it's like hockey mixed with MMA.
Yeah, it's there you go.
It's like, yeah, it's no rules apply. But a poke around isn't a proper game. It's just like you hit the ball and then somebody else hits it back to you, and you know. So she invited this guy on a date to have a poke around, and then she realized
it's the most Kilkenny date of all time. What are you doing this evening? Should we have a poke around with me?
And didn't he hit her and she wasn't wearing a helmet? Didn't he hit her straight on the head with the sliotar, and she got a concussion? And
oh my God.
Yeah, so they had a little fight or something like that, and so she comes over to my house and she's like, I mean, if you think I'm bad, she was as I don't know if I'm okay. So we went to St. Vincent's, and who was there but Blonde Ní Cuffic?
Of course, you know, of course, it was Blonde Ní Cuffic.
It was just me, Blonde Ní Cuffic, and Aoife. And you know, some other guy who exactly hit his toe against I don't know, hit his toe against his castle or something like that.
Yeah.
And but Blonde and I had to go to Aristocrat Gaeilgeoir.
I knew that's what's going to be my first question. Please tell me you spoke Gaeilgeoir in Irish throughout the whole.
Yeah, in Irish, yeah, in Gaelic, yeah, we did. I'm sure we forgot. Aoife was like, she couldn't even put on the mask, and Blonde was really giving out to her, like, cut up the mask, put on your mask. But I think her son had a rugby injury, so that's why she was in there.
How did you fare anyway through COVID? Did you get it at any point?
I did. I got it. Unfortunately, I got it late November.
Oh Jesus, right.
Which is like the height of doing corporates, and I lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
But look, it happened, and it was the first few days I was like, this is nothing, you know, and then I had about 5 days of being really fucked.
Did you?
But yeah, but if I didn't, I'd still do the gigs anyway. Do you know what I mean? But I couldn't, obviously, because I couldn't go outside. But
yeah,
if it was something else, I would have still done the gigs.
That's
you can always get up for 20 minutes. You know, they call it doctor stage.
Yeah, stage health. Stage health. Yeah. You could go on with literally you could start painting with that left arm. Like that, it's the most bizarre. Sure, I did 3 weeks of panto with those 2 broken ribs.
No way.
Yeah. But
I'd say you've broken a lot of bones in your time. You seem like somebody who plays a lot of sports.
Yeah. Well, would you believe? I think I've broken. I don't know. You see, not a lot of stuff broke, but it should have broken. I've had a bone density test. They're quite dense. All right, the bones. It's a family trait, and being raised on goat's milk too kind of assisted that. But I did, yeah. I've broken a few bits and pieces like fingers and stuff like that. But it was always I was never raised with the notion that pain was high on priority lists. So just be getting on with it.
No, offer it up to God. That's what my mother used to always say.
Yes, that's a great phrase. That's a brilliant phrase. So offer to Vishnu, whoever
Yeah,
it is,
well,
or the yoga god. Yeah.
yeah. She always offered it up to normal Catholic God, and and she'd go around. Oh, I have such a headache, and I say, "Mommy, take a paracetamol." No, I'll offer it up to God.
That's why all the hospitals are religious. They're all just offering up the sickness to God. There you go, God. Big bag of sickness for you there,
Mm-hmm.
And you back and forth still, or you what are you?
I'm back and forth. I'm up and down like a horse knickers between England and Ireland.
Beautiful.
I should be in England this weekend, but I just wasn't able. I mean, Dr. Stage, but I'd probably say mad stuff. I don't know. So I've got the Cat's Laugh, and I've got the other festival coming up. I'm trying to think of a name.
It's a Wild Roots or
Wild Roots. That's
yes.
it. Yeah. So I'm going to have to try and I've got a friend who's going to drive me, and but the Cat's Laugh is Kilkenny, where I'm from, so it'll be all right.
Yeah, you have to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, I'm not doing any festivals this year. It was I was kind of looking forward to it, but it was like I got the email that I had a feeling was coming anyway, even though it was promised one or two large ones, kind of going, no. Well, you don't fit the criteria. And they gave me the criteria. And I went, well, like fucking nothing I can do about that. I wasn't born any of those things. So all right, fair enough.
It is an absolute advantage to be a woman.
Because, yeah.
I see myself at the same level or a little bit lower than certain comedians. I'm getting things that they're not getting.
Yeah.
And and they always have to have a woman. Now I am good, and
that's the thing too. You are good and you work hard. You know what I mean? You could see anybody wants an idea of how good you are. Just go and watch that backyard clip. Like you absolutely fucking rip it asunder. Like.
Oh, thank you very much. Do everyone needs to Google that now. But it is an advantage to be a woman, definitely. If I was a one-legged black lesbian trans dyspraxic person with AIDS, I would get every gig going. But what you need to do now, Tom, is I think you need to become bisexual or something.
Yeah, I might have done. No, do you know what? There's once upon a time I would have been absolutely distraught because it's not actually somebody telling you you're not good enough. It's just going, there's nothing you can do about this. And that would have absolutely bust my head open. But I don't know what kind of zen place I'm in at the minute. I'm like, oh, you're Grant. Sure, look at.
Yeah, you've always been like that. You've always been very calm.
Yeah.
And it is a difficult industry.
Sorry.
It's a difficult industry because when I was teaching, I was like, my happiness level was just kind of level. But now with comedy, it's like up and down and up. It's the same amount of happiness, but it's up and down because if you have a good gig, you're on the top of the world. But if you have a mediocre gig, you just kind of feel
like I've tried to explain this to people. You'd come like if you weren't either had the most I don't know, carbon fiber brain or already a bit broken inside, you'd come away with a condition from this carry on, like, you know what I mean, in the sense. But now, in saying that, I did get that email the morning I was asked would I mind playing the 3 Arena. So I was like, we're all right, we're okay.
That's wonderful. Who are you playing with?
Oh no, it's done and dusted. I did it, and I did the marquee. I opened for the 2 Johnnies in front of 10,000 people. It was just
delighted. You totally deserve that.
So but it's just interesting in the way, and I only say it because I know whoever, if you're doing comedy, I think all right, you're deserve it. But what would I put myself in my position of my friends who say female friends like you, and I go, but it would grind my fucking gears being you're doing it, you got to be doing it 10 years, right?
Yeah, nearly. Well, I gave up for a few years, but I started 10 years ago. Yeah.
So I mean, you see, like what would grind my gears a little bit, I suppose on behalf of you, would be seeing somebody who got was one of those people that you gave the full list of, just coming in right alongside you, and you're like, where the fuck did you come from? I've been doing this. And then you go up and you absolutely rinse them. Like, they haven't a hope because they're doing it 6 months or a year, and they can't hold a candle to what you're doing, because no matter if it was fucking milking cows or playing professional football or telling jokes, if one is doing it 10 years, one's doing 6, it doesn't matter how much charm you have, you're going to come off looking fucking rough. Do you know? And that's the only thing that was kind of grinding my gears. Is like, I get it, but at the same time, if you do need to load it with whatever you're picking out, to make who happy, I don't know, because I don't think it's the general populace. I think the general populace only care about themselves. They don't really care about what's going to be on a stage. So that would be.
They don't.
No, they don't.
The average person probably goes to maybe 3 comedy gigs in their lives.
In their lives, total. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't get it. But there's a difference between somebody who's good for TV and somebody who would be really good, like, live and able to interact. And I think I'm a bit too dirty for TV, and that might be.
I don't know. I think you get there's a certain woman has pulled off a few moves on TV and gotten away with it because, let's be honest, huge publicity. Well, literally hundreds of thousands of pounds of publicity put behind her, and you can say whatever the fuck you want. People are just, because people will get on board regardless. I don't think there seems to be this notion that the general populace are this soft, this is, soft childlike thing that they have to be careful with and say. It's almost nobody gives a shit what you say so long as it's funny. They don't give a shit what you say so long as it's funny. Like, I've done gigs for the ICA. Do you know what I mean? Like, I did one horrendous one that I was on a lineup and I didn't know I was going to be on, that died. But I've done one since as a corporate. They didn't give one shit. Let it rip. Let it fucking rip. They didn't care. They didn't want any coy fucking. There was a bit about knitting. They didn't give a fuck about knitting. They were like, come on, we're drinking sherry for all evening, So that was nearly my litmus test to realize that, and they will forget your name as soon as they walk away, unless it's up in lights and you have a load of publicity to go behind you to reiterate your name to them the next time they pick up their phone or whatever, or the next time they, look on their laptop, that your name pops up there, because your average person only cares about either the rent or the mortgage and what they're having for dinner. That's about it.
That's it. And Netflix, what they're going to watch on Netflix.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I do some jokes in England. I do some jokes about my name. So sometimes people will follow me on Instagram after that, because I don't think I did it deliberately, but it's a good idea.
That's a great idea. I have noticed I noticed that, and I crowbarred it for a while, and then I was like, my name isn't that interesting that I crowbarred it, but I've spoken to third person, somebody, telling a story of how somebody, and you'll notice people kind of go, oh, so that's his actual name, because they don't hear it, especially, well, they can't pronounce O'Mahony when I'm in the UK, so it's all the fucking one, whatever.
I can imagine O'Mahony, like in that, what's that film,
Police Academy. Yeah. Well, that's even a decent effort. But when they ask you your name and you go, sorry, mate, and you say O'Mahony, it's like, fucking what? Because I just look O'Mahony, because you're not going to be able to. It's not in their dialect. They can't work. It's not in the Rolodex. Sure, it's not. Like certain names.
It's not. No. I mean, Gallagher, that's one thing I can't say. And Dylan Moran, I'm like, who the fuck is he? It's Dylan Moran guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I met a guy. I mean, I had a few guys, a lot of guys really. But
that's a great line. Keep on to that. That's a great. I met a guy.
And it would be probably easier to tell you the guys that I didn't meet than the guys I've met. And I said to him, he said, "What's your name?" Very posh. And I said, Aideen. And he said, "Don't you mean Aileen?" And I felt like saying, "Oh, Jesus, I'll ring my mother. Is my name actually Aileen?" "Oh, yeah, you were on a lot of drugs when you had me, epidural." "Okay, of course, Aileen. My name is actually Aileen." Like, he corrected my own name.
An imperialistic thing to say. I think you'll find your birth name is actually Aileen. I think you'll find.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this
was
is a British guy, was it?
oh, very posh, very
Yeah.
British. Yeah, well, Eton, but that's my type now. Um,
You're
but
a
I just
government
realized,
lobbyist, for fuck's sake, of course.
but I'm just after realizing that I'm on my work. I'm on my work. Um, I'm on my work Zoom. So speaking of names, Aideen Darmody is not somebody you can Google. That's it's Aideen McQueen.
Yeah,
But
I continuously forget, and it popped up and I went, oh yeah, but I will refer to you in intros and outros. There's no point. There's no point. You know what I mean? You know, if I insisted from now on, everybody called me Thomas O'Mahony, I'd fall off the fucking planet. You know what I mean? There'd be nobody be able to find that. They go, what? I think pretty sure he owns a trucking company somewhere. Who's Thomas? You know what I mean? There's
he's probably a builder, Thomas O'Mahony, that did loads of extensions on houses over in London in the 70s and never paid a bit of tax.
not a scrap of it. And went back to live in Sligo and built a massive house and opened a fish gutting factory as well, just with the last of his cash.
No planning permission, never.
No, not a bean of it. But I looked when I was looking up, because I wanted to get in, because I put up a little picture on because you gotta, when you upload it, you gotta put up a picture. And I like to, some people just put up their own logo continuously when they have a podcast, but I like to put up an actual picture of the people to put a face and name. And I looked it up, and you had some great pictures done since the last time I looked you up. You some like brilliant, like you were in a red dress and one. It was cool. That was very, very cool. Where was that one?
Yeah, that was my pre-COVID body. That was about 2 years ago.
You're fucking shredded. I was going to say that. Jesus Christ, were you working hard, or just a lot of cigarettes, or what was it? Because I need to know the secret.
What was I doing? I was doing intermittent fasting.
Oh no. Mm-hmm. So what would you go 12 hours between, or 16? What would you? I try to get up to 16, but that's hard. But if you can get up to 16, it's great, because you feel really kind of almost in bliss. Now, when does the anger wear off? Because it'll come to a certain stage in the day, Aideen, where Tommy has to have a sandwich or something, because I can't be spoken to. I have a child's brain when it comes to, as that I suppose the nerves that link the stomach to my brain. Once the tank starts to run empty, is there a barrier of 3 days where you finally don't feel hunger the same way a normal everyday person would feel hunger? What's the crack?
I think there is. I think there is a few days, and then you get used to it. But then I just got sick of it, because it's so antisocial. And somebody says, you want to go for lunch, and you're like, no, I'll just drink some water. Like Arthur.
Oh, you're that bollocks, right?
So I was, but only for a little bit of time. But yeah, and that picture of me is very airbrushed as well. I don't even look like myself. I look like my Californian cousin that might have done porn. Like, it's like, it's very misleading. Like, I don't think it's, but there's this photographer that does all the photos in a lot of the photos for comedians, and he just kind of airbrushes everybody. Everybody looks like a Barbie doll, even the men.
Well, yeah, so, when you I mean, it's not like he was taking a picture for your LinkedIn profile. He was taking a picture because you're a fucking professional performer. Like, if you want to be utterly organic, take a picture of you on the toilet with your phone. You know what I mean? So there's nothing to be ashamed of in that. It's absolutely, if there is airbrushing going on, because on the day too, you could have an old spot or a blemish, or as I do, I get really red ears from time to time, because I think all the nerve endings are absolutely shot on them. Like, I have no feeling left in my ears. So they get really red when I'm outdoors. I don't know why. And every time I'm on TV or anything, like, Jesus, we're going to have to use a lot of makeup on just his ears, because they just glow sitting there. And at the beginning, I was like, let my ears be. I will have nothing there. My ears. And after a while, I was like, oh, absolutely. God, I've seen them. Actually, please.
Yeah, because on TV, you have to really up your game. I did the Virgin TV thing with the Crackdown, that comedy club there last week.
Yes,
it was great.
Yeah,
it was absolutely fantastic. But it's low budget, so they asked me to do the makeup, and my only qualification is that I'm a woman. But I had to go through I had to keep going. Like the girls did their own makeup, and I had
yeah.
hair done and everything. But like it's very funny. Yeah, like I had to get all the different shades of makeup for all the different guys, and I kept dabbing them with powder brush, before they went on stage. They were. I mean, I was like, I really turned into like an Irish mammy now. Oh, you're getting a bit shiny there. Oh, we better put a bit of concealer now there, little spot there, But the likes of Joe Rooney and Pat McDonald, they're so used to getting makeup. So they actually told me what they needed, Like, I need this here, a bit of powder here. They knew they were better than me.
I just thinking when you said Pat McDonald's forehead, like how did you have to go out and get more for his head?
Oh my God,
there's half an acre of forehead there.
But we had a laugh about it. But yeah, I really had to and keep daubing him, And then it was good. It was good crack.
I'm gonna freak you out because it just popped into my head. You'll go, that is the most un-Tom thing I've ever heard. There was a period, Aideen, that I was on telly so often doing like talking head stuff and just making an appearance, that I actually had my own kind of makeup. I had my
Well, you have to.
It was Gordon Hayden from Virgin. He was like, you have to, Tom. I'm at this the whole time, and she could be out in a fucking field. And I went, fuck that. And then when I was going to these things, and I was like, there won't be an option to have makeup done. But Jesus, my shiny ears, Natasha. We're going to have to. She go, Jesus Christ, Tom. This is good gear I'm putting on your ears, fucking ears, and your big forehead of yours. Like, she could let me just get something very simplistic that you can splash on your face, like the camouflage. The camouflage stick that boys used to get when they were small. Let's just get you something like that. And I did. And I remember sitting in the car and we were doing something out in Causey Farm. And I sat in the car and I looked at myself in the mirror kind of going, this is where you're at now, Tom. You're putting What?
It was far from that you were rare.
This is exactly what it is. When are we going to see Aideen McQueen TV show? Because the amount of unlucky in love fucking TV shows that, while a lot of them have been very funny, a lot of them have been absolutely forced and the same fucking story over and over. I'm not joking with you. There is, but given the litmus test of my little podcast, of the amount of people that they were like, this shit, I like telling it on stage is one thing, but this needs to be developed. And now we spoke to the universe on our last episode, and we said, Aideen, this needs to become a show. It's now become a show. It's done one festival. It's about to do the biggest festival in the world. Next, we're asking the universe, and I guarantee you, we'll have you back in 50 episodes time. You're going to have a TV. This is for.
Thank you very much.
Our yoga. Our yoga god.
I know. Catholic God, any God, whoever's up there, Vishnu, Muhammad, Allah, Allah Akbar, go on for it. But it would be great. But I have to really hone the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then I will probably try and pitch it as a TV series, kind of a Fleabag kind of thing like that.
Oh yeah.
But I mean that I can only concentrate on one thing at one time, really, and I'm so busy. I just gonna do the show, and if it does well, then I can continue and do a bit more.
I think I there's such a, to just wrap your teeth around. There's such a good story in that. But along then, just being classic Aideen, just goes out running in a pair of normal shoes and busts herself and breaks like classic. Before I leave you go, you're laid up now. Are you able to work? Are you able to lobby, or are you going to just smash some of the classic?
I'm not really able to do much work at the moment, but it's not too bad because in England at the moment they're having the Queen's Jubilee.
Oh yeah.
It's got 4 days off. So, I don't have to do anything at the moment.
You must be raging missing it, are you? To be fair, you're not anti-British, although you are very good at pointing out their ridiculous Britishness.
And when you meet I used to be very anti-British when I was young. You know, I was really ooh,
course.
up the la, you know,
Yeah.
like let's watch Michael Collins again on video. And but you know, the English people are very, very nice. In general, it takes a little bit more to get to know them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, London is so big, and they wouldn't chat to you the way the Irish people would. But once you get to know them, they're very, very sound.
I've always found that. Almost, you're kind of nearly, Jesus Christ, you really like me as a friend. Wow.
Yeah, but it takes about a year. It takes a year for them.
Does it?
Yeah. Yeah, when I was teaching in England, I mean, because there were so many substitute teachers coming and going, nobody really cared.
Yes.
And nobody gave me any attention. But after 1 year, the secretary was Colette, and she was this, you know, big, strong Jamaican woman. And I remember once I really fecked something up. I didn't put in a report or something like that. And she defended me to the death. She lied for me, no problem. And then they would come to my gigs and everything. Yeah, just so yeah. But it took a year before people kind of trusted me, or you know, because they're so used to people coming and going, and
yeah.
So I think that's what it is.
So before we head on out the road, tell us, is there any festivals between now and August, or are you just going to go, that's it, I've done? Was it Leicester you just did, or Brighton?
I did Leicester.
Yeah.
I'm not doing Brighton, well, I couldn't anyway at this stage. And I'm doing Sligo, and I'm doing the Cat's Laughs. And there's there's a few other bits and bobs now, but I can't remember at the moment.
But you are. What's the title of the show anyway? We need to know the title.
Sugar Baby.
Great. Oh, of course it is. Of course.
It was going to be called Slut for Jet, but I changed it. In Leicester, I called it Slut for Jet, but
it's Slut for Jet is brilliant, but it's nearly too smart of a play on words to agree, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit too much. So yeah, it's called Sugar Baby.
Brilliant. Well, I personally can't wait to actually see it, and I can't wait to have you back in 40 or 50 episodes time till you have your own TV show. And I'll play the guy, the pizza fella, or whoever if you need. It's
definitely.
I have my own makeup, Aideen.
Sure, we'll make it on the phone and enjoy it. It'll be grand.
Perfect. Well, I'll let you get back to your drug-filled bliss and Netflix and whatever other brilliant things you'd be up to.
Yeah.
Aideen, this has been an absolute joy once again. Thanks a million.
Thank you so much. I love doing your podcast. It's such good crack.
And my thanks again to Aideen. I told you it was going to be a good one. So for reference, if anybody's wondering, go back, have a listen to the very first one too, because, you know, we would have referenced it a little bit. Go back, have a gander at that one. It's, it's not. And if you're new, have a look. There's 229 other episodes there, as well as there's a taster of the first 100 or so Ramble Pods. The Ramble Pods are now exclusively for the Patreons on Wednesdays. They're a bit loosey-goosey, you know what I mean? You can kind of talk a bit without... it's just me tearing into my week, but also being a bit more candid, I suppose, than you could normally be on the general waves, if you know what I mean. If you are on Spotify, give it the 5 stars and hit the bell, please. And please, if nothing else, would you give it a share? Just give the podcast a share anytime people go, yeah, recommendation for a podcast, which I've been getting an awful lot lately. So thank you very, very much to anybody who does. If anybody asks for recommendations, send them this way. Maybe a screen grab, throw it up on your story and tag the old podcast. It'd be great to put the word out there. There's, of course, merch and all the rest of it. Have a gander in the show notes for that link. It'll take you to everywhere you need to go. Have a smashing weekend, everybody, and thanks again for tuning in. I'll chat to you again next week. Good night, and thanks.